Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to Aussie Fish Keeping. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 5 of the most peaceful cichlids that you can keep in your aquarium. So all 5 of these species make the perfect community fish, and they're just really awesome little fish to add to your aquarium. So before we jump into the video, I will say not all of them are 100% peaceful, and they can be a little bit aggressive at times, but for the most part they are very peaceful and gentle fish. But without any further ado, let's just jump straight into today's video. So as for the first cichlid on the list, we have one of my favorite little tropical cichlids. We have ram cichlids. So ram cichlids are a pretty popular little fish. They are from South America, which means you do want tropical water parameters and a heater in their aquarium. And they do best with quite high temperatures, such as like 26 to 27 degrees Celsius. But yeah, ram cichlids aren't 100% of the time peaceful, and especially when they're trying to mate or defend their territory, they do get a little bit aggressive to other fish or to other ram cichlids. So if you do plan to keep these guys in a community setup, you'd probably want to do it in a semi-large aquarium, just to make sure your ram cichlids aren't beating up your other fish constantly, or your other fish aren't beating up your ram cichlids. So you can get quite a variety of different color variations of ram cichlids, and all of them should be as peaceful as one another. Although if you are keeping them in an aquarium with other ram cichlids or with other cichlids in general, you would want to be careful and just keep an eye on the aggression, just because when they're in there together, if it's 2 males, they can fight a lot of the time, especially if they're trying to mate with a female. But yeah, besides that, ram cichlids are definitely a great little peaceful cichlid that you can keep in your aquarium. Okay, so moving on to the next fish on our list, we have a little bit of a bigger one. We have angelfish. So angelfish do get quite a bad rap in the aquarium hobby, just because a lot of people do think they are quite an aggressive fish. Now, at times, I will admit angelfish can be quite aggressive, especially much like the rams if they're mating or if they're trying to defend their territory. But besides that, most of the time the angelfish are pretty shy and laid back little fish, and they don't really bother your other fish in your aquarium. As long as you don't have smaller fish nipping at their big long fins, you will find that these guys just mind their own business and don't really bother your other fish at all. So the only thing with angelfish obviously is that they do get quite big, so if you are planning on keeping these guys in a community setup, you probably do want to keep them in a larger sized aquarium. But besides that, the only other things I would recommend is definitely keeping them in a really stable tropical water parameters, just because they are quite fickle little fish and they don't really like too many fluctuations in their water parameters. With that being said though, I definitely think angelfish are another great little peaceful cichlid. Moving on to the next fish on our list, we have another ram. Actually, we have Bolivian Rams. So Bolivian Rams, or I think they're also referred to as Bolivian butterfly rams, are a super awesome little South American cichlid. They are a microgeophagus, just like the German ram cichlids, although these guys generally are a lot more peaceful than the German rams. So Bolivian rams are great fish to get, especially if you only want one show fish in your aquarium or something like that, just because these guys can go fine by themselves and they don't really need any other rams in there with them. So these guys are probably the most peaceful ones on this list, and they don't bother your fish whatsoever. As long as your fish don't bother them, they're completely fine, and they'll generally just go around the bottom, sifting through all the substrate, trying to find some food. So besides that, as for the water parameters and temperature, you will want a little bit of a higher temperature for these guys, obviously being a tropical fish. They also like those tropical water parameters, as do most Amazonian and South American fish. So Bolivian rams do get a little bit bigger than the other rams, although they definitely don't get anywhere near as big as angelfish do. So I would say they are a pretty small little fish, and you can keep them in pretty small size planted aquariums. But yeah, besides that, I definitely think the Bolivian Rams are another great little peaceful cichlid that you can get for your aquarium. Moving on to the next peaceful cichlid on our list, we actually have an African cichlid now. We have Krubensis. So Krubensis obviously are another really well-known peaceful cichlid, and a lot of people have them in their community tanks. So Krubensis can get quite large, and a lot of the times the females are actually the nicer looking fish. just because the females develop a nice pink sort of purplish spot on their stomach. But yeah, like I said before, Krubensis are definitely one of the most peaceful fish, much like the Bolivian Rams, and they can go with a wide variety of tank mates. So Krubensis generally stick to the bottom of your aquarium, so as long as you don't have anything too small along the bottom that they can fit in their mouths, like shrimp or even something like a bumblebee goby, then you shouldn't find any aggression coming out of them at all. So obviously, being a African cichlid, they do prefer different water parameters in comparison to the other fish on this list, although they are quite hardy little fish and they can deal with different water parameters and also larger fluctuations in the water parameters. Although I would definitely recommend keeping them in a heated aquarium just to sort of minimize the risk of them getting white spot. But besides that, I definitely think Krubensis are another great little peaceful cichlid that you can get for your aquarium. Okay, so moving on to the last fish on our list, we have probably my favorite fish on this list. We have Epistogrammas. So there is a wide variety of different species of Epistogramma on the market, and a lot of them have completely different, unique colors and patterns. Although I'd say the most common here in Australia in particular are the Epistogramma cacatoides. So I think in America, sometimes you guys call them cockatoo cichlids, but in Australia, we just generally refer to them as the Epistogramma cacatoides. But besides that, the Epistogramma cacatoides, or Epistogrammas in particular, are definitely great little peaceful aquarium fish. They don't get too large at all, and they definitely make a great little unique, colorful addition to your planted aquarium. While they are peaceful most of the time, obviously they can be a little bit aggressive towards other fish in your tank, especially if they are trying to mate or defend their territory. So generally the Epistogrammas will establish their own little territory. Most of the time it would be in something like a cave or a coconut hut. So the males will generally hang out around this and try and attract the females in to breed with them, obviously. So as long as you don't have any fish going in there and annoying them, you shouldn't find they are too aggressive to your other fish at all. And most of the time, especially if you are trying to breed these guys, it is actually quite beneficial keeping them with other fish, just to act as dither fish and to make them feel nice and safe so that they do actually want to spawn. So as for water parameters, they definitely need a heater in their aquarium, otherwise they will get ill with stuff like white spot. And keeping them at pretty relatively stable tropical water parameters is definitely what I would recommend. Although they are pretty hardy fish and they can deal with small fluctuations, but I would definitely just try and keep it nice and stable for these guys. But yeah, Epistogrammas are definitely one of my favorite and one of the best peaceful cichlids that you can keep in your aquarium. But with that being said, that is going to bring us to the end of today's video. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope I helped you guys find a new cichlid for your aquarium. This is again a little bit of a more different video to the ones I generally try and make, although I'm sure somebody would have learned something from this, and I really do hope this helped you guys out. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe and comment your thoughts on the video down below. I always love going through and reading them all. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in that next video.